dass uns britische Torpedoflugzeuge angreifen.
British torpedo planes started to attack us. Our captain ordered many quick, violent turns to dodge the torpedoes.
Bismarck evades the first wave. Then a swordfish piloted by Lieutenant Percy Jick with air gunner Les Sayer and navigator V.K. Norfolk sweeps in and fires. A massive column of water soars 150 feet in the air amidships on Bismarck.
Wurden die Schnellschlussanlagen von den Turbinen auf
One torpedo exploded against the armor belt. The massive concussion threw us off our feet. The jolt triggered the shutoff valves in the turbines. We had to quickly restart the engines. During the attack, the bosun's mate, Chief Petty Officer Kurt Kirkberg, was thrown into the airplane catapult and died.
Geworfen.
Bismarck has suffered its first fatality. But the torpedo has struck the thick armor belt and done little structural damage. Having dropped their single torpedoes, the swordfish pull into cloud cover and return to their carrier. The aviators have sent a message. As long as Bismarck is shadowed, Tovey will keep sending waves of aerial assaults. For Admiral Lutyens aboard Bismarck, his next move is clear. He must shake the British ships from his tail. Lutyens knows the British are steering in a zigzag pattern to avoid possible U-boat attack. When they're at their furthest point, Bismarck turns hard to starboard, looping back over her own wake. The British lose radar contact and steam right past the German ship. For the next few hours, British radar operators work frantically to re-establish contact, but to no avail. At 5 a.m., 24 hours after the sinking of Hood, the cruisers send an ominous message to Tovey: have lost contact with enemy.
And so, Lutyens and Bismarck slip away, Tovey moves in the opposite direction. And it seems that in this game of chess that these two admirals are playing in the high seas, Lutyens is now winning.
The biggest battleship on Earth is now steaming for the safety of Nazi-occupied France undetected, hiding somewhere in the vast storm-tossed seas of the North Atlantic. May 26, 1941. For 30 hours, ships and planes of the British home fleet have scoured the North Atlantic for some sign of battleship Bismarck. But Bismarck has simply disappeared.
We're very despondent. Everybody, and I mean everybody, from the lowest boy to the highest officer on board was in a terrible state because we lost the Bismarck.
Aboard Bismarck, the crew hopes by morning to be within 200 miles of France, waters controlled by the German Luftwaffe. Desperate to re-establish contact, Fleet Admiral Tovey dispatches Catalina flying boats, or PBYs. They're American aircraft, lend-leased to Britain to support the war effort. Their incredible 2,500-mile range makes them ideal for long-distance searches. They comb the seas for hours. Then, at 10:30 a.m., 36 hours after losing her, a PBY crew spots a dull black shape moving across the water. Bismarck has been found. Bismarck has been spotted here, 700 miles from the coast of France. Admiral Tovey's battle group is here, 130 miles directly north. Tovey must slow Bismarck down to get in range to strike. In perfect position for this mission is a task group steaming in from the south, known as Force H, which includes the aircraft carrier Ark Royal. May 26, 1941, 7 p.m., 8 hours after finding Bismarck, 15 Swordfish torpedo bombers from Ark Royal speed toward the German battleship. Lieutenant John Jock Moffat pilots one of the ferry Swordfish.
We were told to go in there and do our best and get as many torpedoes into her as we could possibly do.
Moffat and his crew break through the clouds and descend on their target.
My first impression of the Bismarck, when I saw it on my starboard side about 2 miles away, it was really awesome.
Moffat's flight of 3 Swordfish close in at 115 miles per hour.
6,000 feet, all of a sudden, all hell was let loose.
Bismarck's anti-aircraft gunners desperately filled the sky with flak.
I had no doubts about what was going to happen, and I was scared stiff. I thought the only way I could survive was to get as low as possible. And the nearer I got to the ship, I was hoping that wouldn't be able to get their guns down low enough.
Moffat closes to within 2,000 yards and prepares to launch.
There was a voice suddenly says to me, "Not yet, Jock." And this was my observer. And I thought, what's happening? And he kept saying it, "Not yet, not yet." And then out of the corner of my eye, I happened to turn slightly to the right, and there was a friend of mine hanging outside this aircraft with his bottom in the air, but I don't know how he did it, in fact. But he was leaning right outside the aircraft with his head right underneath the fuselage. And he was shouting, "Not yet, not yet." And then it dawned on me why.
In these high seas, Moffat's observer knows that if the torpedo hits the top of a wave, the impact could veer it off course. With only one torpedo, he has to make the shot count. He hangs upside down, judging the wave height, waiting for the right moment.
If you could release a torpedo that went into a trough of a wave, then you had a chance. And that's when he said to me, "Let her go." And when I said, "Let her go," he said, "Jock, we've got a runner."
Bismarck makes a hard turn to port to avoid the torpedo. It's a fatal miscalculation. 51 seconds after Moffat launches, the deadly missile strikes Bismarck's port side on her stern. The violent explosion tears a huge hole in the hull.
Und die Erschütterung war so stark.
The shock was so strong that rivets flew off the bulkhead. There was a sound like the ship was tearing apart.
Und ein Krachen war, als wenn sämtliche Knochen gebrochen würden.